I've released 9 games and prototypes on itch.io, but most people don't even know they exist. To avoid that this time, I'm going to be bulleting on the biggest platform for PC games, Steam. But there's a problem. Steam is not for prototypes. I need something finished, polished, and worth paying $100 to publish. So over the next few months, I'll be making a fully developed factory game. And today I'll show you exactly how I went from nothing to a barely functional prototype. Since I'm starting from scratch, I need to get the absolute basics first. That means some kind of movement and a way to place the machines. I started with setting up the camera that will be looking from the top. I made it so you can go up and down and also rotate so you're not confined to one perspective. Then I made the machine placeholder so we can visualize them and made the build mode where you can spawn them on the cursor position when you left click. Now you might be wondering what's with those colored parts in the placeholder. Well, I also added machine rotation and those colored parts help you track which way it's facing. Without them, you would have no idea which direction a machine is set to. After finishing the build mode, I made an edit mode, where you can select to place the machine and move it or delete it if you want. We now have the foundations of a factory game. You can move around, place the machines, rotate them, and even fix your mistakes. But making that didn't come without issues, because I can place machines inside other ones since there are no limits yet, and of course machines still don't do anything. To solve the machine placement issue, I made a grid that the machines will snap to. I also solved the overlapping problem by making that you can only place a machine where the grid space is not being occupied already. The main thing now is that I made a placeholder for a conveyor belt, another one for a generator machine, and one more for a product. Then I gave functionality to them. The generator, as you may expect, generates a product every 3 seconds. But instead of running in real time, I made a tick-based system that keeps everything in sync. Every tick, the conveyor belt moves the product one step forward, passing it down the line. I don't want to give you the wrong impression that everything worked perfectly on the first try, because that took me about a week. Dealing with problems like products being stuck on conveyor belts, being teleported to the end of a conveyor belt line, and other things that might bore you. So yeah, keep that in mind, but at least now it finally works. With the grid system keeping machines in place, and the tick system ensuring everything moves in sync, the factory is now structured and manageable, giving us a solid foundation to make things much more interesting. To do that, I'm introducing 3 new things: a way to sell the products, a way to process them into better ones, and a way to combine them. I'm starting with the easiest one, the seller machine. It takes in any product and turns it into currency, which didn't exist before, so I also had to add a money counter so you have something to earn and spend later on. Before moving on, I deviated for a little while because products were teleporting between machines, which didn't look that good, so I smoothed out their movement to make them feel better visually. Next, I made 4 processing machines. When a product enters it, it will be processed into a new product that is going to come out the other way. For now, that just means a color change and the price increase. The 2 assembler machines work similarly, but instead of upgrading one product, they take multiple products, consume them, and combine them into something more complex, which is currently represented by a different color and a bigger size and price. With those additions, the products no longer just move around, instead you have a way to change them and turn them into other products that will sell for more. The assemblers work with something like a recipe that decides which products they need to create something new. The problem is that there is no way for you to see that recipe, so I'm creating a new mode to solve that. I started by designing the UI layout that I divided in 3 parts. The first section displays basic machine details: its name, an image, how many ticks it takes to process, and a new feature I added: operation cost. That's the amount of currency that the machine consumes every time it generates, processes, or assembles something. The second section simply shows what products are inside the machine and how many. I added these extras because I wanted operator mode to be useful for every machine, not just assemblers. The last section shows the recipe, what is the output you'll get, and the required products and quantities to assemble it. Before, there was no way to tell what was happening inside your machines. Now, operator mode lets you track everything inside them, making factory management way easier. With operator mode in place, I thought things were coming together nicely until I ran into some really weird problems. For some reason, products would visually appear on one machine but actually be registered in the next one. So the game basically thought they had already moved forward, even though they hadn't. And then there was the processors issue. Products move smoothly everywhere, but the moment they enter the processor, they would just teleport inside instead of traveling properly. The movement code was literally exactly the same, so I had no idea why this was happening. After hours of confusingly staring at my monitor and aggressively smashing my keyboard, I finally figured it out. Turns out there was a problem on the way the machines updated the positions on products. Now everything moves smoothly and correctly, and I also took the chance to clean up some other weird little bugs along the way. Even though what I've shown you is functional, it still feels clunky in places and some things aren't clear. So before adding more mechanics, I need to make sure what's already there feels smoother and more intuitive. First, I added a UI element that tells you which mode you're in. It's a small thing, but without it, you could easily forget whether you're in build, edit, or operator mode. Then I added a pause button for the factory. And to prevent accidental disasters, the game now automatically pauses when you enter a mode, so you don't mess things up while editing or building. Another interesting addition is that I separated edit mode into two modes, move mode and delete mode. Now moving and rotating machines is instant, no need for confirmations, and delete mode lets you select multiple machines for deletion at once, making things way faster. And now on operator mode, you will be able to remove products from a machine in case you didn't mean to send a product that way. Thanks to these small changes, the game is more intuitive and easier to control. So instead of getting frustrated with clunky mechanics, you can build your factory more freely. The devlog started with an empty ground and some placeholder machines, and now we have processing, assembling, and even a basic economy. And even though this is clearly not ready for publishing anytime soon, we have enough stuff to improve on and build upon. But this is just the beginning. I'm going to keep developing and improving it a lot until I finally release it. Trust me, you won't want to miss the next devlog, so subscribe and turn on the notifications to be one of the first to see it. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.